Excited to see you today too, Maria. We have a couple of things going on. One is we're going to let the thighs out on this one really quick. And then the other is we have a second dress that we're going to raise the waist of. Let me know. Can you hear me okay, Maria? I hope everyone's doing well. Let's see. Per usual, drop it in the chat where you're from and your sewing level. I'd love to hear from you. I did put a couple of products down on the bottom of the page right here. If you tap here, I've had some people ask about, let me show it to you, this pin cushion. Right here. So many questions. And I don't know if it is actually manufactured to be a pin cushion or not. But I saw a pin cushion when I got it. So what I did was my daughter-in-law got me this for a gift, and I can't tag exactly where it came from because I'm not sure. I need to ask her. But YouTube has now connected with Etsy, so we can do YouTube shopping with Etsy on here. I can recommend small entrepreneurial sellers. I'm so excited about that. So that's what I did today. So this is obviously, like I said, it's a kind of more of a manufactured thing. It's not from Etsy, but I wanted to encourage you guys to visit Etsy and visit a small business, hopefully. It's a crochet one, and I know you guys love crochet. I love crochet. So I picked out a pin cushion for you there if you're interested. If not, no pressure. I just did that for fun for you. Let me get you angled down here. And again, for everybody joining us, we're going to be letting out the thighs a little bit. And then there's a second dress that we're going to be raising the waist during the alteration. All right. So let's see who all's on here. Terry, hello, hello, as always. Let's see. Oh, goodness. I think there's like a typo. No Average Girl is saying Warrior, Alabama, no year advance. So I'm not sure what that means. Let me know your sewing level in the chat. Hi, Gwen. Hi, Gwen. I'm so glad you popped in. I know you got a client coming, but it's great to have you. Paula, good to see you again. Yes, Vanessa, 1 year. Guys, she's running a successful business and she just started it a year ago. So cheer her on in the comments. Everybody give her a clap emoji. That's so exciting. I did not know it was one year anniversary. We'll definitely have to say something in the Discord about that. Let's see. Oops, not really advanced. That's perfect. I understand. Miss Jessel, Dallas, Texas. Nice. We go to Dallas usually once a year. I've got family out there, so we go for that. And I'm going to set up my second phone here so I can read your chat while I'm working. So yeah, so we've got this pretty dress we're starting with today. We've been working on it for weeks. We peeled away this beaded boning area and we were working in here. We just expanded her cup a little bit. Look at that. It's right in the middle of the process. So it's got this raw stuff going on the inside. We literally just split it right here, right inside the cup. Added a lace gusset. You can see that right there. And so we just need to, I'm going to go ahead and line it with a little bit of lace there as well that's nice and soft. But that's what we're doing there. But I need to let her thighs out a little bit. And then the next dress is just way too big and the waist is way too long. So there's this common misconception out there that you can just buy a dress in your size and it's gonna fit. And that if you don't find a dress in your size, you were just being picky and you should have looked harder. But that doesn't work if your waist is not the same length as the gowns that are being manufactured, right? And that's what we see a lot of. If you are shorter waisted than the fit model that they used for designing the dress, then unfortunately for you, you're probably going to have your dress altered, even if you buy the perfect size. Even if they make it to measure your bust, waist, hip. That's just how it is. So this bride just wants a little bit more room in her thighs, but a little deeper pinch at the knees. So that's what I'm going to do real quick with this one. Just letting out those older seams. I'm leaving all of those stitches in there as a marker of where the previous seam was. Since this is an adjustment on a prior alteration, things can get a little bit tricky in there. I have another phone coming next week, guys. You're going to love that because it's a phone that I'm buying specifically for my vertical live streams that goes along well. It plays well with a lav mic, so you won't be hearing my air conditioner and hopefully the traffic going by, all of that. It'll be nice and quiet. Looking forward to that. All right, so I got this seam started, and I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit for you so you guys can see. And I'm going to look and see what the light quality is like on this for you. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Let me know. Can you see that okay? Is that better for you? If ever you can't see, you guys squeak up. I have my old phone. I have my regular old phone that I'm using. It's actually not that old. For the live stream. It just doesn't go with the lav mic. And then I've got my actual old phone beside me set up so I can read your comments now. All right, so there's that seam before. I'm starting like an, I don't know, 1.5 inches above it. I'm gonna swing out maybe 1/4 inch. I'm not concerned about these holes. You see the holes? I'm not concerned about them. That was from the lace. The lace on this dress, as many of them are, was just, I mean, sewn like somebody's life depended on it. And so when we take that apart, of course, it just makes a big mess. So here I am, 1 inch, 1/4 inch in from where we were. And then I've got to pinch in further than before. So this is, she wants that, you know, I don't know, holiday Barbie. She wants the holiday Barbie look with this. So that's quite a curve. I would never just put that in there. I'd be afraid it wouldn't look right. But it's very fitted to her thighs. And the bottom of the skirt is really full. So hopefully it will look okay. It's just one of those things. We're not going to know until she tries it on. Now I'm going to clean up my trash. My tension was a little ugly there. Get that going. Ah, so much trash in here. But you don't leave it or it's going to get stuck between the layers and it'll be a nightmare to dig it out. If you ever do have to dig out threads, just, I always just get a little pin and pick it out. Let me know, what are you working on this week? Are you altering for clients? Are you sewing for yourself, like for your own pleasure? Or is it maybe for an event you're sewing for yourself or a client for? Is this bridal? Is this just a fun gown? I'd love to hear what you guys are up to while I find this next layer. It's always fun tunneling through. Okay. Luckily, this layer was separate, like the tulle, but then underneath, all of these layers were kind of sandwiched together. And I love it when they do that because it's so much faster to alter. Just saves everybody a lot of headache. So here we go. I'm going to start up here. The upper thigh was fine. Lock that off. And then we're going to swing out a little bit. When they really have us come in, I don't always trail this out because you can get this little Gucci pocket thing going on. Sometimes I stop here, right below that seam, the skirt, and just really go back and forth. I like to do that. All right, now the fun stuff. We get to pick all this free. This is kind of hard to do on a live stream because it's at this point I would normally shrimp my back over, sit like a shrimp, pull the thing way up into my face, and I would just be hunched over my work like Ebenezer Scrooge or something. Makes for great content, let me tell you. We shouldn't sit like that. Part of that is that's probably the reason why my eyes are so stinking lazy. I want to just stick it up in my face. So yeah, I'm popping these threads every, I don't know, 3 or 4. I'm breaking the thread. This is the top thread. And then I'm going to flip it over and break the bottom and the top of this run here, the seam that I need to undo. I'm going to break that on the bobbin side. We're going to give it a tug. It's so satisfying when it works, but sometimes it doesn't. There we go. Tell me, guys, do you work from home, or do you have a studio? Do you have like a home studio or like a place that's a separate location? Each of them have like their pros and cons, that is for sure. I make no bones about it. Here I am breaking the top of that, pulling this bobbin thread. There we go. Yay, it worked. I make no bones about it. My dream is to someday have a workshop on my personal property. I want the best of both worlds, don't we all? Right now I have a separate studio, but it is not on my own private home property. I have to drive a little ways, not far, but I do have to get in my car and drive to work. If I was a health nut, as I could probably use to be, if I was a health nut, I would just run to work. It's only 4 miles. There's a lot of people that do that every day, right? Not me. I'm going to read your comments real quick. So this fit her where it swung out the most at the upper thigh. So I'm going to make my start there. I'm going to read your comments. Let's see. Look, phone to infinity. Let's see. Ashley, that's so exciting. This is my 3rd year. I still think I'm a beginner, but my progress from the first dress till now is amazing. Don't you love it? Maria's from Florida. Okay. Gwen's working on a couple wedding dresses and 3 bridesmaids wedding dresses. You guys, you can make a really good living off of bridesmaids dresses. Just saying. Because you can do kind of like a high volume situation with those, you know. Let's see. Maria talking about the bustle boot camp. Yes, girl. Susanna fits at the studio and so's work at home. Susanna, it's so good to see you. Oh my goodness. So good to see you. Vanessa has her dedicated bridal home studio. Vanessa's studio is quite cool. Quite cool. We love us some Vanessa around here, don't we? I love like how I still see a lot of the same people popping in on live streams and Discord and all that. That's good fun, guys. What a cool community. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys, if you're wanting to join the Fitting Room Finesse and you've been on the fence, you can still do it with payments. It starts next week. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But there's only 2 slots left. So you might want to get it while the getting's good. There's this little pucker right here. I'm probably going to have to re-sew that portion. So the Fitting Room Finesse is going to be on a Monday from 1 to 4 with replays. Okay. The next 3 Mondays. And I'm going to do 25 case studies per call. That's kind of rapid fire to be doing that within a few hours, right? 25 like before pictures of brides, and I break it down like, this is what I got to do to this bride, this is what I got to do to that one, and also talk about how much I'll charge them, which is incredibly helpful, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, there's only 2 slots left. Again, replays, and there's payments. If you go to fittingfinesse.com, you can sign up there. It's actually called Fitting Room Finesse Boot Camp, because I didn't realize this, but that her name was Nancy something. She was like a famous sewing educator. She released a book back in, I forget, the 80s or the 90s. I think the early 90s, called Fitting Finesse. So we don't want to step on her toes. But this is about the fitting room experience. So mine is actually called Fitting Room Finesse Boot Camp. But I have the URL, the web address, so that you can search it up easily. It's fittingfinesse.com. So let me know if you have any questions about that. But that's going to close soon. I'm also going to have 3 live models, 3 live bridal models who are going to have like try on a wedding dress, and I'll go through all the dialogue just as I would at an initial consult. I don't want to use like surprise any of my brides and be like, hi, this is the first time you met me. Can I record you and whatever? I don't want to like freak them out. So these are brides of mine, but they're previous brides, and I already am familiar with like their body type, and they're comfortable with me. So it's going to be the exact real experience, and they are real current brides. But it may or may not be their actual dress. But it's going to be exactly what I would say to them for the dress I have them in, if that makes sense. So yeah. Some brides are cool with being recorded, and some just are not. I also like to pay my models. I don't use models for my courses like for free. They all have to sign off, and I pay them. Because if you know me, you know I love people making a fair wage. I'm so into that. Isn't that radical? All right, so top and bottom again, giving that satisfying pull. Here we go. Nice. Okay, so now I just have to do the tulle layer. And then we're going to move on to the dress where I'm going to raise the waist of the bodice, which again is so important. That alteration, hands down, that is one of the, I don't know how to, I would almost have to do a sentence diagram to make sure I say this right. But of the dresses that I see online where I'm like, oh, they didn't alter that dress the right way. Of course, I would never comment and say that. That's so rude. They didn't ask. But of those situations where, like, I'm on Instagram and I see this dress and a seamstress is like, look at this great job we did. When I see problems with the alterations, it's almost always that they just kind of resized the dress and did not address the length of the waist. Massive, massive difference in the fit. And we go into that too, how to assess that in that fitting room finesse boot camp. Doing that same shape yet again. Now this you'll notice, bringing this out in a smooth way into the skirt for the tulle. I don't always, but this one's handling it well. So many judgment calls in sewing, isn't it? It's kind of fun. It's kind of scary if you're starting out and you're really like risk averse and you're afraid you're gonna like damage a dress or something. It's kind of terrifying. But once you kind of get a grip of like, oh, this is what's risky and this is what's not, it's kind of fun. You get to choose your own adventure. Drop a book emoji if you remember those books from when you were a kid. I loved those, and I used to actually race other kids to that section of the library when it was library day in school. I wanted to get a choose your own adventure book. I just loved it so much. I hope they still make them. You could just read them over and over and pick different paths. So much fun. Can you imagine though the formatting to be able to publish a book like that, to get your page numbers right, and even to write the book? That's a lot. Hats off. Hats off to them authors. I'm having a hard time saying the word. All right, picking the trash out here. It's actually pulling through fairly easily. That piece is a little stubborn. It's on the outside though. It'll be all right. Okay, so this dress is pretty much ready for the next fitting. That begs the question of, well, not begs the question. It brings up the question of like, you let your brides try on the dress without closing them up? Yep. Because I'm not sewing and picking this over and over again. I just warn them before they get in it that like, hey, things are going to look a little scary. Stuff like this, we'll have it like pinned down with safety pins. But I just warn them, we have to keep the lace peeled away so that we can adjust your dress. And nobody cries. Once they know to expect that, they're just fine. I'm going to set this dress down. And I'm going to pull the second dress. The raise the waist dress. And I'll even show you my sketch. That's the other thing that we'll go into in the fitting room finesse. I'm going to show you how I sketch my notes. And I know some of you don't really have control over that. Like if you work in a group of seamstresses, you guys might have your kind of like established ways of sketching the alterations. And that's fine, but you never know. You might want to add some new way. All right, I'm going to read your comments here. Okay, somebody's asking the mini scissors. These, I think you're talking about these. They're my nippers, and they're made by Wiss. I love them so much. Anything that you see me using that you wonder about, like what size needle is that, your favorite needle, or your shears or spot cleaning supplies, iron, sewing machine, whatever, all of that, if you go to bridalsewing.com, all of that is on my website. I have a page that's all my sewing supplies that you can just find links to Amazon. Some of those do expire, obviously. So just like use the link to kind of find the product and then shop for which version of it you want. I'm not actually vouching for every store that I've linked to, if that makes sense. So yes, no average girl. Nancy, is it Zyman or Zeman? She's the one that made that book, Fitting Finesse. So she's the one I'm like not wanting to step on her toes. But I do own the URL. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But the official name of the boot camp is Fitting Room Finesse Boot Camp. Yeah. Patricia, that's awesome. Gained so much courage from you. That's what I want. Yes. That a lot of people say that they watch the channel to kind of get like affirmation that like, yes, the way I'm doing that is correct or okay or whatever, you know. Let's see. Mary is saying she loves watching the videos. Started doing bridal sewing. Yay! That's awesome. And I think Chris is raising her hand to say that she remembers the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Oh, what a time, huh? When we were young and had time to sit around and read books. Oh. All right, so for this one, let me zoom back out so you can kind of see. Get that light off of there. It's a little too hot for you. My girls have already prepped this for me, so they've already picked away all the lace. And let me get the note so I can show you what it looks like. And I'll show you how to alter this. Some people think these are kind of tricky because you've got the semi-sheer back and then this, and you can see there's no seam allowance on this side. All the seam allowance is pushed forward into the front of the bodice area. It's not hard. No need to be scared. We're gonna do this. So we're gonna take this in and raise the waist. Let me get that note for you. This is what my note looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna tighten her straps 2 inches total. That's the same on each side, which is kind of unusual. A lot of times one would be like 1.5 inches and the other one 2. But I just sketched out just a real general idea of how the bodice is. And this is 1 inch folded. So like if you pinch it on her, it's like 1 inch that I can pinch. That's another back from the 90s. Can you pinch 1 inch? But there's 1 inch there that's like a total of 2 inches. So we're going to do that. And then coming down to about 3/4 of an inch pinched. And then we're going to raise the waist right here about 1 inch above the waistline that came with the dress. That's where we're going to notch it, and we're going to start coming back out into the skirt. So I showed you guys in the last live stream about shortening the waist by literally like cutting the dress in two and cutting across to shorten it, shorten all the boning, and sew it back together. But this is another way to do it with just notching that waist. If they want the drop waist look that gives like the illusion of a longer waist, this is the way to go for that. It can be a little bit more cost effective as well. And then this is BPs, means bust pads, and this is the little scribble that one of my hand sewers does. This lets me know this person put the bust pads in and they're checking off on it. That way, if they're put in like upside down or whatever, I know who to track down. So that's how my notes look. Olivia says, hi, longtime lurker, first time jumping on a live. Welcome. I'm doing them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at around 1. Now, for the next 3 weeks, when I have the fitting room finesse, that starts at 1. So I'm going to be doing 12 on Mondays. Okay. So at noon on Mondays for the next 3 weeks. But otherwise, it's mostly Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1. I'll be doing a live, and I'm just going to be sewing whatever is going on in the sewing room. So let's see. Olivia, been sewing professionally for 18 years. Look at you. Olivia, your pinning trick for the hem using safety pins has saved me a lot of time during fittings. Ain't that right? And safety pins also are less likely to grab the rest of the dress. So I'm going to put my notes on this little shelf right in front of me so I can see. This is another thing I link to sometimes. It's my little desktop vacuum cleaner. Cleans up beads and threads. I didn't link to that today, but that's kind of fun for those of you who are little mushy lovers like me. All right, so let's get going on altering this dress. So we need to first tunnel up between the layers, and I get asked a lot, how do I know which layer to go up through? There's no formula for that. It can vary. So obviously you can start with one layer in from the lining, but it varies. So I happened to hit the jackpot and I went up through the correct layers on the first try just then. But when you tunnel past this waist, this is kind of closed off because you get into the sheer area, but your hand can continue up in the front of the bodice. That's the way these are made, that have the sheer back and the bodice, the solid bodice front. So what I'm going to do is grab this boning area here. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to pull it through. And that gets me to this. Right here. And then I need to unpick that. And remember, the idea is to be pretty much back to this size by the time we're here. So let me show you that sketch and then also how I'm going to sew this, just so you can picture it. So I just keep pushing like this, making sure everything is pushed over to the left. But that's not really going to be enough. I'm going to go up through here. I'm back onto the outside through the layers now. And I'm going to pull all the lace forward. This part you may have to unpick if you're working real close to it. If you're coming in an inch like we are, it doesn't really matter. But I do need to make sure that this top portion is feeding out at a correct angle in there. You don't want to pull it up or pull it down and get wrinkles here. So I've got everything cleared out of the way, I think. Sometimes that lace hops back in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on this to show you kind of how this looks like the sketch. Let me find my heat erasable ink. Like, if I can't find it, we're not getting this sketch today. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I said like an inch pinched, okay? So here we're starting here, and then it's going to quickly go down to like 3/4 of an inch. And then I said about an inch up from the waist seam is where the new waist is going to be. Oh dear. She stopped working. Let's see, will this one work? Ugh! The humidity is insane. All right, there we go. So about 1 inch up is where we're gonna start our notch. All right, so, and I don't draw that on these dresses. Typically, that's just so you guys can see. All right, so let me show you that. See how much that looks like this? So that's what I'm going for there. And now we're getting ready to sew. Woohoo! Is this the same process you guys do? Let me know, please. I would love to hear it. Let's see, I've lost. Here we go. I lost the chat. Now the chat's back. Okay. All right, so I'm definitely going to be using this left presser foot here. It lets me get right up to the edge so that all the bulk can be on the left side of my stitch. I'm going to sew right over this sketch. Now the problem is when she tries it on, because I'm not going to cut yet, I want to see it on her. When she tries it on, this boning is going to be pushed forward a little bit on the bodice. It's not going to be right along the edge. So this will need to be moved. I'll pick this off and sew it along here. The other thing is this is going to be a little bunchy, because ideally you're going to put a cut like right here to release all this stuff. I'm not going to cut away all of this, because technically even if I cut it here, it could still be let back out someday and they could patch over that little slit that will be remaining in it. They could patch over with lace, since this dress already has lace overlay. So I'm going to leave them the option of being able to let this out again sometime in the future. I don't like to cut out the, my mind keeps going blank today. I think I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet today. It's 1:30. But yeah, I don't like to cut anything away until I know it's close to the date, and only if necessary, even at that. All right, so let's grab this like this. I'm gonna push my corner in, turn it into a little Muppet, pull her through. This looks awesome. Yay. Mission accomplished so far. All right, let me see this here. Yes, okay. So we've got this step down that I'll tell you how we're going to deal with it in a minute. But look at how flat this is. Everything's pulled forward, no puckering. That's what we're going for. When we pull this with a little bit of a rotation on it, it is laying flat. Okay? The pulling with the rotation is compensating for the curve that we're asking it to have. And when I do all that to it, it lays nice and flat. So that lets me know that when her hip is in here pushing this out, it's going to be okay. See how clean that angle is? That's what we're going for. Her new waist coming out to this. And like I said, we're going to have this lace overlay that's going to have all sorts of forgiveness for us if we did have a little pucker, but there's none in there. It's looking good. So this we're going to pin back and try it on her. Make sure it fits, and then we can just sew all of this down. Now the step down I told you I would tell you about, I get asked about this a lot, this part right here. From the high point to how the back is going lower as it extends toward the zipper, you get the step down. I basically just take some of the lace and I just kind of build a bridge. So it's going to go from here across to here. and all that will be filled in. So we make a new angle. That is a very common question that I get. So I'm glad we got to address that today. Obviously, we've got other lace in certain areas that need to be stitched down as well. But that is the way that we raise the waist with taking in a dress. So simple. And I talked you through every step of it, and it was still that fast. So it's going to be really fast in real life. So yeah, I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, drop them in now, because then I'm going to sign off. That was all I needed to do today for the call, was those 2 projects. Again, I'll see you back here Monday at noon. It won't be at 1 on Monday. It will be at noon. I'm sorry for repeating myself so much on lives. I have to, because people come and go. So it's important for me to do that. I'm just giving you a second to drop a question in there. I'm going to keep on working here while you do that. And also, if you miss a live, it's no big deal. They're going to be posted on my channel. All of them, I have them to go ahead and post afterward. You go to my channel homepage. That's youtube.com/@bridal sewing. You go to my channel homepage and you click on the live tab, and you'll see all my past live streams. So, let me check your comments here. Let's see. Oh, yes, Amy, I get what you're saying. She's saying she's been doing a lot of remakes of mother's wedding gowns for reception or rehearsal. So she appreciates the former seamstress that did not cut the fabric from the seams. Yes, how frustrating is that when they do that? Oh, Miss Giselle, having trouble finding the fitting room finesse page. Okay, so it's www.fittingfinesse. That's FINESSE.com/info. Or you should just be able to do fittingfinesse.com. Either way, it should take you to that. If it doesn't, check the homepage of my website, bridalsewing.com. I'll try to double check and make sure there's a link on there. And then you can also just email me if you still can't find it, info@bridalsewingtechniques.com. And I also have a contact form on my website if you guys have questions as well. You can also DM me on Instagram @Bridal Sewing. So I'm very, very reachable. So if any of you get turned around, you can find me. But I hope you guys all have a lovely day. It was great having this little time with you. We will see you back here at noon on Monday. Take care. Bye.